Hi, I'm Amy Rose White, integrative and intuitive psychotherapist, making videos on soulful tools for self healing. I do believe that we are our greatest self healer, even though we need to reach out to others from time to time. I'm obviously biased since I'm a therapist. Today, I'm going to talk about the foundations of mental health. Over my 27 years of practice, what have I seen to be the most important base? Just like a house needs a strong base and a strong foundation for us to return to during times of stress, unexpected events, even just historical things happening around us, politically, etc., and in times of change, which we're really always constantly immersed in as human beings. So a number of these will not surprise you, but I'm hoping to break down some of them in concrete ways that make them usable and practical for you. So the first one, truly, yawn, is nutrition. It is so true that you can do all the medication, supplements, and therapy in the world, but if your diet is full of toxic additives and processed food, you are just not going to manufacture the kinds of neurochemicals your brain needs to feel like itself, to feel even, to feel happy, to have a sense of joy in your life, and to be able to bounce back from adverse events. So, what am I talking about in a general sense? No, I'm not a nutritionist, but I study a lot of nutrition and functional medicine, and I've certainly observed the power of food in my own life, having had a lifelong sugar addiction that I've recently broken. Again, I'm so proud of myself. That nutritional foundation really is as much whole, real food as we can get. So I like people to focus more on bringing things in rather than taking things out. And that means if you eat meat, eating grass fed organic meat when you can, as often as you can, or at least hormone free, dairy products, eggs, fruits, vegetables, kind of yada yada, all the stuff that you know. I'm telling you, if you do that, if you cut out some of the processed food, even just a little bit, you generally are going to feel better. Some of us actually have genetic, what they call alleles, which is a fancy, very polite term for a mutation, in our ability to detoxify things from our environment, including additives, dyes, etc., that's found in processed foods, as well as actually to absorb the meaningful, helpful nutrients in good, healthy foods like kale. Some people actually feel like crap if they eat a bunch of green vegetables because they have an allele on a marker, a genetic marker called the MTHFR. So if you feel like you're eating well, but you still feel crummy, it's really worth getting something called psychopharmacogenetic testing, which can help you understand, are you absorbing the nutrients from your food? And if not, what specific supplements might help you do that? And it might even guide you towards making different dietary choices. Some people actually do better with less green vegetables. There's a whole carnivore planet out there who would make the argument that plants aren't necessarily great for consumption. I think that no one diet fits everyone, but some people are going to feel better with some foods versus others. I really encourage you to take the time to figure that out for yourself. There are blood tests, there are elimination diets like the FODMAP diet, etc., if you really want to go deep into this. But otherwise, I would say just really listen to how you feel the next day after eating a certain kind of food. Notice any mood changes, bloating, irritability, sleep, etc., and just kind of play around and see where you actually thrive the most. It might not be the traditional healthy diet. Number 2 would be sleep. Again, no surprise, but most of us really require at least 6 to 10 hours of sleep every night, uninterrupted. I would say 4 to 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep is the bare minimum to get those neurochemicals again resetting, to help inflammation go down in the body, and to let a lot of the healing processes that occur when we sleep actually take place. If you're watching your TV or your phone or your tablet and you're scrolling before bed, you know that you're probably interrupting your circadian rhythm. So, as you're probably also aware, getting light and no blue light before bed and real light first thing in the morning on your eyes, even gazing out a window, but no window, actually stepping outside on your porch is even better. I know that sleep is a tricky topic, and I'll be making more videos specifically on that in the future. A lot of people are like, yeah, I would love to get 6, 8, 10 hours of sleep, but my body won't let me. And I really encourage you to work with a sleep specialist and your physician or primary care provider or someone that you really trust to get down to the bottom of that to see if there is something physical that needs to be attended to. There are a lot of psychological approaches to sleep, and I'll talk briefly about some of them. Supplement wise, I have found magnesium and liposomal GABA to be most helpful in assisting with sleep, as well as a product called Cortisol Manager and Lavendula. So these are lavender oil products and adaptogenic herbs that, of course, you must talk to your healthcare provider before starting, that can really help our nervous system relax and allow for that deeper restorative sleep that is so crucial to sound foundational mental health. Number 3, and honestly, I could have put any of these in any order, but because nutrition and sleep are so basic to physiological health, I ordered them this way. But this one is really critical in the area of personal development and psychology in general, and that is flexibility in thinking. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Our main job in mental health as psychotherapists or any branch that you work in is to help people think with less rigid thought patterns and more flexibility. What does that mean? Basically, you have the power to adapt without freaking out. You have the ability to cope with change. And flexibility in thinking basically means, okay, I had this one set expectation and it didn't turn out that way. So how can I reorient my thinking to still feel safe, to still feel like I have choices, and to feel like there are other options that are going to be okay, even if they're not optimal. I've noticed there's a trend of like people who get married in the pouring rain on YouTube recently. Maybe this is just because I like to watch wedding footage. I'm not really sure. And I'm kind of getting off topic here, but I'm going to mention this because it's a really good example of how, no one really wants it to be pouring rain on their wedding day, but some of those fun videos are just like they did it anyway, and then they're dancing in the rain and everyone's soaking wet, and you got to know that they're cold and uncomfortable, but they did it anyway, and then they set it to this great background music, and it just looks like everyone's having the time of their life. I don't know if that's really what's happening there, but I'm going to assume that those people have great flexibility in thinking, and they made the best out of, an unpleasant situation and turned it into, a memory no one will ever forget. It's a great example. So how do you have flexibility in thinking? That's about number 4, and that is your self-talk. It is your inner narrative. What's that dialogue? Because we all have one. We have an automatic, usually negative thought stream in the back of our mind at all times about how things should be in the world, how that person should treat you, what should happen in politics, what you should be doing today. And all of those shoulds can lead to that rigidity we're talking about. So we have to become aware of them. I want you to really practice listening. What am I telling myself? When people say, oh, I just feel angry and I don't know why, or I'm just super depressed, I always say, where are you feeling that in your body, physically? Is there an emotion that you can connect that to? And what were you thinking? What we're thinking has the greatest power to influence how we feel. And I hate to break it to you, this won't be a shocker either. We don't have control over jack you-know-what out there. We cannot control how people perceive us, how they treat us, what happens out in the world, if there's a hurricane tomorrow or an earthquake or the whole pandemic thing should happen again. That really reminded us, didn't it, of all the things we don't have control over. But we do have control over what we're telling ourselves. So I will just let you in on a secret thought that is powerfully transformative in terms of your well-being. And that is, I can handle it. Anytime we're anxious or depressed, maybe we feel like we have no friends, no one cares about me, my partner didn't respond the way I wanted to, they must not love me, my kids don't need me anymore, I suck at this job, like whatever that negative thought stream that's coming in, if you follow it to its logical conclusion around what are you thinking that means? Like, well, if this happens, then that will happen, and then this will happen. It's like, well, okay, let's just say all that occurs and you do lose your job and that friend doesn't really like you anymore and your partner does leave you. I mean, I'm not saying any of this is going to happen to you, but we want to basically tell ourselves the positive self-talk of, I'll handle it. Whatever it is, I can handle it. I will figure it out. And how do I know that that's true about you? Because you're here, and everything else in your life, no matter how catastrophic it has been, whatever has occurred, you've handled it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here watching this. So notice what you're thinking. Try to ask yourself, is it absolutely true? And is there some proof that I can actually handle this? Thinking a better feeling thought is always the next best option when it comes to mental health. And the final one, of course, is social support. Y'all, we cannot live as islands. I'm an only child. I love being alone. I love my alone time. In partnership, I need to take lots of time and space. I love taking long solo trips abroad. Not everyone feels that way. However, no matter whether you're an introvert, kind of like I am, who loves to be social, or you really need external, connection, we need meaningful friendships. We need meaningful connections. You do not have to be partnered to be fulfilled, but we cannot just stay in our homes isolated. And unfortunately, there are still a lot of people post-pandemic that are living that way. We need to get out. We need to make eye contact with people on the street. We need to leave our phones at home. This is my personal opinion around foundations of mental health. We need to find people that we connect with. And frankly, there can be long deserts of time when we are without social support. And maybe that's because we're changing and we're being more discerning with how we choose our friends and who we allow in our lives. And that might mean there's not a lot of people. So that requires us to be brave and go to classes and go to events and go to things alone and be willing to strike up conversations with strangers. And all these things are really challenging. Obviously, if all this is like, I can't do any of this, I'm so underwater, then it's time to seek professional help. But in absence of that severity, I really encourage you to remember that the more meaningful, and it really only requires a couple, but the more frequent, meaningful connections you can make, even just a brief check-in with someone or sharing vulnerably that you're having a rough day and could need some extra check-in and support, goes an enormous way to breaking isolation and improving our overall mental health. I just remembered that I forgot one of the most important ones, another kind of no-brainer, but it's exercise. If we don't move our bodies, we do lose not only mobility and muscle, but we lose all the wonderful benefits of the endorphins that we get from movement. So try to make that part of your everyday as well. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, what you'd like me to talk more about. Do you like my newest sequin shirt? I love it. I've only worn it once. I've actually had it for a while. It just makes me so happy to wear these. As you know, I'm a therapist that does not give two, thoughts about what people think about what I wear, and these are my favorite things to wear. So every time I make a video, I get a chance to put one of these on. Thank you for being here today. Until next time, as always, with the meta prayer, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe, and may you be at peace. Until next time, bye for now.